All right, in this video, I'm going to be doing a drain and fill on my 2013 Mazda 3. It is a Sky Active, and I'm using the FZ or FZ automatic transmission fluid to do this. That is what the dealership recommended, and I'll explain why in just a second. There's no set schedule for this, but I'm at 250,000 kilometers, so I figured I'd give it a try. I do have M5 in the garage, but I use that for the power steering. The amount of ATF in these things is about 8 liters, depending on if you have the 5 or 6 speed version, but only about 4 liters is going to come out of this thing. And then for the types of fluid, if you have the 5 speed, it's supposed to be the M5, and if you have the 6 speed, it's the FZ or FZ. Now, my understanding is that the Sky Active models have the 6 speed. I could be wrong, so definitely consult your manual and make sure you know what you're doing beforehand. And the other thing, my airbox is actually broken, so I don't take this part off during the video. I came back the next day after I did this change. You might have to take off this bolt, and it's a 10 millimeter, or there's another bolt a little bit lower that you could take off, and it is connected to your airbox. But you'll see that my airbox, obviously I just removed it, and the airbox didn't come with it, but it's broken right there. So when I did the actual change, I did not remove that. So it kind of came in after the fact, and with the magic of video editing, I put that in first. So just bear in mind, you might have to remove one of those two bolts. I don't know that it really matters which one you remove. Anyway, for the actual change, you might want to consider removing the negative battery terminal. I looked at it and decided I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to reset my radio, and I had no problems. I didn't undo any of the electrical connectors that are on the air filter, so I didn't really feel that I needed to do that. First thing I did was loosen up the 10 millimeter bolt on the mechanical hose clamp that clamps down onto the airbox. Remove the two clips that are holding the airbox down, and then just remove the top of the airbox. And then obviously you need to sort of turn it over so that the electrical cable that's connected to it doesn't get twisted up or anything like that. But I found you did not have to disconnect any of the electrical connectors, and then remove the air filter. A little bit of cloth on it, don't know where that came from. And then it's time to remove the bottom part of the actual airbox itself. And like I said, mine's broken, and you'll see the plastic flopping around. I don't know if I broke it doing this or what, but anyway, it is definitely floppy. And there's one little piece of plastic in there, and I'll pull that out right here. And there's two clips on it. You should remove that. It'll make things a little bit easier as well. And then once that's up, it should just lift straight out, particularly if you took those bolts out, or if you're like me and yours is broken, then it should just lift up. So there's just that little piece of plastic that's holding everything together, and then obviously there's the one 10 millimeter bolt. And it just sort of lifts out, and all of the actual connections are just sort of loose fit. They kind of plug in. They're not actually bolted together. So you can see one of the connections there, and the other connection is right there. And that's it. They pretty much just sit loosely in there. So I've already taken the 10 millimeter bolt out that holds the dipstick in for the automatic transmission fluid. So I'll give that a yank. I recommend giving it a little bit of a twist. If this is your first time taking it out, don't try pulling it straight back. It might be frozen up in there, but if you twist it up, it'll probably loosen it. So that's what I did. Gave it a twist, pulled it out. It was a pretty rusty bolt, so I was happy that it came out. And the other thing, start from the top, work your way down. Don't drain your oil pan until you find out that you could take this dipstick out. If that bolt is stuck in there and you drain all your transmission fluid out, you're not going to be able to put the transmission fluid back in. So get that dipstick out first. Now, getting under the car, I didn't film myself removing this skid plate. Mine's all beat up and has like zap straps and stuff. You do need to remove a few of those little plastic button things. You probably have 3 or 4 of them. Like I said, I got zap straps instead of a lot of bolts. And then I only had 5 of these 10 millimeter bolts holding things together. My understanding is that you should probably have about 7 of them. So there's 7 bolts to remove. There's a couple of those little plastic clips, so you might need a flathead screwdriver under there as well. But mine's pretty trashed up. Pretty much anything plastic on this thing's about to break. Like I said, I did take that off camera. It's a bit of an annoyance to get off, but it's not too difficult. Now I've got a 8 millimeter hex. It's going to go right there on the drain plug for the drain pan of the transmission. And I'm going to give it a few smacks with a dead blow. I was concerned that it might have been frozen in there. It was actually pretty easy to remove. So I did smack it a few times with a hammer to loosen up, and then it was fine. As you can see, my bolts that are holding my drain pan on look incredibly rusty, so I am never going to remove that drain pan. I've had some bad luck with drain pan bolts before, so this is supposed to be lifetime fluid. Like I said, I wanted to see what it looked like after 250,000 kilometers, and that's what it looks like. It is supposed to be blue. The fluid's sort of a clear bluish green, and that really looks red, but when I got it out in the sunlight, it did kind of look greenish yellow, I guess. I don't know what's going on with this this fluid. It's definitely burnt pretty bad. I did get a crush washer from the dealership. They gave it to me for free. And when I put the drain plug back in, I did clean up the drain pan where the washer connects with the drain pan. And that's just to make sure that there was no dirt or anything like that on the drain pan when the bolt goes in, so that the actual crush washer sits on there nice and flat and doesn't have like a piece of a rust in the way or something like that. I just put it on by hand, and then I come in with a torque wrench, and the torque spec I used is 25 foot-pounds. I didn't see anything really online that would tell me what to do, but I decided to go with the same torque spec I use for the engine oil pan. And I do have an old jug that I've used for other transmission fluid changes. What I'm doing here, obviously I pulled the dipstick and looked at the level before I started. I'm going right back to that level, but I'm gonna measure this out with that measuring cup I got right there. I picked it up for about $3, and I'm gonna put the exact amount of fluid in that I took out. I do spill a little bit, so I do go about 50 milliliters higher, and what I get out of this is 3 1-liter containers and then another 400 milliliters. So I'm just pouring off the first 1 liter right now, and then I'll throw it in the jug. And this is so I put in exactly what I removed, give or take 50 milliliters. When you go to a dealership and you buy the ATF, I recommend you call around. When I called the 3 dealerships here in Ottawa, I got different prices on the ATF. The most expensive was $24 a liter, and I went to a different dealership that charged only $14 a liter. So it was about half price for the same stuff. And that was the final cup load. And like I said, there was about 400 milliliters left over after I did the first 3 liters out of there. So 3.4 liters is what I'm going to put back in. So first thing I'm going to do, obviously get the dipstick out of there because it's in the way. And I'm going to use a super small and thin blue funnel. I'm going to toss that in there. And then I'm going to take a big old red funnel and I'm going to drop it right on top of the blue funnels. So it goes through the red one, drops into the blue one, and then goes in. And like I said, I'm going to put the first 3 liters in straight away. And I'll throw it in fast motion here. I'm not actually pouring it that fast. You can see that the fluid is actually kind of blue. And then for the last one, I'm going to check the level of the fluid before I put in the last 400 milliliters. But definitely the fluid level is lower on the dipstick than when I first took it out. So the 400 milliliters is going to make a lot of sense to put in as well. My intention here is to drive the vehicle probably for about a month, maybe a little less, and then do another change. So again, you can see I added 450 milliliters, so I went a little bit more because I did spill some, that kind of thing. And obviously some of the fluid sticks to the sides of the containers or whatever, so I felt the 50 milliliters extra was warranted. So like I said, put the exact same amount in that I removed using a semi-scientific process, and then also looked at the dipstick, confirmed it was at the same depth as when I started. And now I'm going to just put that 10 millimeter bolt back on. And obviously you need that so that it locks the dipstick in place. And I'm assuming if you don't do that, the dipstick will pop out and you're going to spray your transmission fluid out of the dipstick hole. And once the dipstick's locked in place, take the bottom side of that air box. It is a bit annoying to put in there. And then just make sure it lines up. Obviously there's the 2 vent holes that everything needs to connect to. There's a little rubber bushing in the back towards the battery that it sort of clips into. And then again, if you didn't break your air box like I did, then you could bolt it in place with that 10 millimeter bolt that I removed before the video started. And then there's that little elbow piece that sort of connects to the air box. And then there's the piece that it connects to at the front of the car. And that's pretty much it for the bottom. It's a little bit of a pain to have to do that to get to your transmission dipstick, but I guess that's the way they thought it would be best to design this car. Then I'll throw the air filter back in, and then I'll throw the top of the air box back on. And like I said, I didn't disconnect that wire at any point in time. When you're putting the air box on, obviously you want to get that rubber hose back onto the air box, and then there's the 2 clips on the back end. Just make sure everything's back in place properly. And again, you need a 10mm to get that mechanical hose clamp back on the front. And I start the vehicle with the skid plate off. Really, I leave the vehicle running for about 10 minutes with the skid plate off and make sure there's no leaks, that kind of thing. And then I just run it through the gears, make sure there's no weird noises, that kind of thing. But everything is fine. Everything works well. And I do voiceover, so it's been fine for a few days now. I've probably driven about 150 to 200 kilometers since doing this change, and there's been no issues. Anyway, overall, I'd say this job is pretty easy. You definitely want to measure things because it's difficult to check the fluid level with the vehicle running or hot and then have to remove your airbox and that kind of thing. Sort of annoying. But anyway, fairly simple, not too expensive. And really, I wanted to see what a lifetime fluid looked like at 250,000 kilometers. Anyway, thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.